You wake up and feel it before your eyes even open. That tightness in your chest, that dull pressure behind your eyes. The weight that tells you today will not be easy. You do not even know why. This is the silent thief that has been with you for years. And unless you learn to name it, it will keep stealing the life you could have lived. Most people walk through life believing stress and anxiety are the same thing. They are not. Stress is the rope pulling you in two opposite directions. One part of you wants to move forward, another part pulls back. One part wants to rest, another wants to work. One part wants to please others, another wants to protect yourself. You feel torn, stretched, unable to settle. Stress is the battle of conflicting desires. It has a clear cause, a visible tension. Anxiety is different. Anxiety is the fog that covers the battlefield. You know there is a fight going on inside you, but you cannot see the soldiers. You cannot name the enemy. Anxiety is the accumulation of unresolved conflicts. It is the pile of unsorted thoughts, unmade decisions, unfinished conversations, ignored problems. It is the iceberg with only a tip above the surface. The part you feel is small, but underneath is a massive weight you have been carrying for years. Here is the danger. Stress can be solved when you name the two forces pulling you apart and choose one. But anxiety is not a single rope you can cut. It is hundreds of tangled threads. You cannot just pull one and expect relief. You must slow down and start untangling them one by one. And that requires something most people avoid: silence, attention, honesty. When you feel anxiety rise, stop moving for a moment. Ask yourself, why now? What just happened? What am I carrying from yesterday, last week, last year? Write it down. Do not judge the answers. Let them come out like water from a spring. Some will surprise you. Some will embarrass you. Keep writing. Keep digging. When the cause appears, look at it without running. This is how you take back control from the fog. Most people will not do this. They will distract themselves with noise, with screens, with work, with anything that keeps them from facing the truth. And so, the fog thickens, day after day, until they no longer remember what life without anxiety feels like. You do not have to live that way. The first step is to name the difference. Stress is a conflict you can identify. Anxiety is the residue of all the conflicts you have ignored. And the cure begins the moment you turn to face them. Once you see this truth, you will notice the ropes and the fog in every corner of your life. The argument you keep replaying in your mind. The decision you delay because you fear its consequences. The guilt you carry from things you never fixed. Every one of them is a knot in the rope or a shadow in the fog. And your job now is to either cut the rope or clear the shadow. Do not expect this to happen in a day. Years of avoidance do not dissolve in hours. But every knot you untie, every shadow you clear, gives you a little more breath, a little more space, a little more life. You will begin to recognize the difference between the sharp pull of stress and the heavy haze of anxiety. And that recognition alone is power. Power to act, power to choose, power to finally stop carrying what does not belong to you. This is where the journey begins. The war for your mind is not fought in grand moments. It is fought in quiet hours, when no one is watching, when you choose to sit with your thoughts instead of running from them. It is here, in the silence, that the fog begins to break. Anxiety thrives in clutter. Not the clutter in your room, but the clutter in your mind. Unpaid mental bills, promises you made to yourself and never kept, conversations you rehearsed but never had. Every unresolved piece of life sits in the corner of your mind like dust gathering on an old shelf. You can ignore it for a while, but eventually the dust fills the air. It gets into your lungs. It becomes the very thing you breathe. If you want to move from anxiety to peace, you must begin with an inventory, a mental audit. Sit down with paper and pen. No phone, no noise. Write down everything that pulls at your mind. Everything you have avoided, postponed, or pretended does not matter. Do not filter. If it takes more than an hour, good. That means you are finally seeing the mess for what it is. When the list is done, mark each item with one of three choices. Resolve it now, schedule it for a set time, or release it completely. There is no fourth option. Unfinished things have a cost, and the more of them you carry, the heavier you become. If it is not worth doing, it is worth letting go. Many people resist this because they believe the inventory will overwhelm them, but here is the truth. The overwhelm is already here. You are just living with it unconsciously. Naming each weight is not what crushes you. What crushes you is carrying them in the dark. Once you see your list, you will notice patterns, the same kinds of issues repeating, the same kind of avoidance showing up in different clothes. This is your education. Every pattern you notice is a map to the habits that create your anxiety. And maps, unlike fog, can be followed. There is a discipline to this work. It will demand that you face small discomforts daily instead of letting them grow into monsters. It will demand that you tell the truth faster, make decisions sooner, and stop promising yourself things you know you will not do. It will feel unnatural at first. That is because most of your life has been trained in the opposite direction. Every time you clear a piece of mental clutter, you make room for presence. You make room for the moment in front of you. Anxiety cannot live in a mind that is fully here. It needs loose ends and unclosed loops to survive. When there are fewer of those, there is less for anxiety to feed on. This is not about perfection. You will never have a mind completely free of clutter. Life will always give you new weights to carry, but you can choose to travel light. You can choose to unpack the bag every night before you sleep. You can choose to meet each morning without the debris of yesterday still hanging on you. When you do this long enough, you will notice something. Your reactions change. The same problems arrive, but they do not take root the way they used to. You handle them and move on. You close the loop before it becomes a knot. And slowly, without forcing it, you become lighter. You become harder to shake. You begin to understand what peace for the mind really feels like. Peace is not the absence of noise. It is the ability to hear the noise and remain unmoved. It is the stillness that comes when there is nothing hiding in the shadows. It is what happens when you stop running and start clearing the path beneath your feet. One truth strips fear from the bone. You will die. Every breath is borrowed, every moment on loan. Most people know this in theory, but they live as if time is endless. They carry grudges as if they have centuries to resolve them. They delay their dreams as if the right moment will always come, and they worry as if worry will buy them more days. Thinking about death is not morbid. It is medicine. It burns away the illusions about what matters. Stand in front of this truth and ask yourself, if I had only 1 year left, what would still deserve my fear? The list will shrink fast. Most of the things that gnaw at you will disappear entirely. When you keep death close in your mind, life changes shape. The sharp edges of anxiety dull. You stop obsessing over the opinions of people who will also be gone one day. You stop chasing goals that mean nothing when the clock runs out. You stop living like tomorrow is promised. This is not about becoming reckless. It is about becoming precise. If life is short, you choose carefully where you spend it. You cut the wasted hours. You silence the pointless noise. You give more to the moments that make you feel alive. And you understand that each of them is slipping away, whether you notice or not. Anxiety feeds on the belief that you must control everything. Death reminds you that you control almost nothing. And somehow, that is liberating. You do not have to hold every thread. You do not have to solve every problem. You just have to be here for the time you have, without letting it rot in fear. When you measure decisions against the scale of mortality, Clarity comes fast. Should you speak the truth? Yes, because time is short. Should you forgive? Yes, because resentment steals days you cannot get back. Should you begin that project, take that trip, tell that person what they mean to you? Yes, because one day you will not have the chance. Most people will keep this truth at arm's length, afraid to feel the weight of it. But you are different. You will carry it close, not to be heavy, but to be light. Because when you remember the end, you stop wasting the middle. People think wasted time is watching a bad movie or sitting in traffic. They are wrong. Wasted time is any moment you are not truly there for. You can be working on your passion, standing in a place you love, with people you care about, and still waste the moment if your mind is somewhere else. Anxiety steals presence. It keeps your thoughts stuck in the past, replaying old wounds. It drags you into the future, rehearsing disasters that will never come. And while it does this, the present slips away, moment by moment, gone forever. This is the real tragedy. People are terrified of dying, yet they spend most of their lives not being here anyway. They are alive in body, but absent in mind. They are ghosts in their own days. To reclaim your life, you must reclaim your attention. That means training yourself to notice when it drifts. You catch it in the act, gently but firmly pulling it back to what is in front of you. The sound in the room, the shape of the light, the feeling of your hands moving through the work. Every detail is an anchor to now. The more you do this, the more you see the truth. The present moment is not just part of life. It is the only part of life you can ever touch. Everything else is memory or imagination. And if you miss this, you miss everything. This does not mean you never plan for the future or reflect on the past. It means you stop living there. You use those places as tools, not as homes. Your home is here. And the more you stay here, the less room there is for anxiety to grow. So ask yourself, when was the last time you were fully here for a moment? No thoughts of what comes next, no shadows of what came before. Just this breath, just this task, just this life. If you cannot remember, it is time to start again. People say they want peace of mind. What they really mean is they want peace for their mind. Peace of mind is a fantasy where nothing disturbs you because the world is perfect. That world does not exist. Peace for the mind is different. It is the calm you carry even when the storm is raging outside. Your mind is a tool, not a master. It is not meant to run wild, chasing every fear and craving. But that is what most people let it do. They identify with every thought as if it were the truth. They let the voice in their head narrate their entire existence, never questioning its accuracy. When you begin to observe your thoughts, instead of obeying them, something changes. You see patterns. You see how the same fears dress up in different disguises. You see how the same desires keep you circling the same paths, and in that observation, you find freedom. The goal is not to control every thought. That is impossible. The goal is to let them pass without building a home for them. Thoughts are like birds. You cannot stop them from flying overhead, but you can stop them from building a nest in your hair. Anxiety thrives when you believe every thought must be true, urgent, or acted upon. Peace comes when you realize most of them are none of those things. They are just noise. And you are not the noise. You are the sky they pass through. Once you understand this, the grip of anxiety begins to weaken. You stop fighting the storm and simply let it pass. You stop looking for a world without problems and start building a mind that can handle them. This is peace for the mind. And it is far more powerful than any illusion of peace of mind. From the moment you were born until the moment you die, there has been one constant: your awareness. Everything else has changed. Your body, your thoughts, your circumstances, even your identity. They have all shifted like sand, but the awareness that notices them has stayed the same. Most people mistake their story for their self. They think they are the narrative running in their head, the triumphs and failures, the names and roles, the history they replay and the future they imagine. But all of that is temporary. All of it will end. Only the awareness remains. Anxiety feeds on narrative. It needs you to keep telling the story of how things went wrong, how they might go wrong again, how you must control every chapter. But awareness does not need a story. It just is. It sees without judgment. It allows without forcing. When you shift from narrative to awareness, anxiety loses its fuel. You stop rehearsing the worst-case scenarios. You stop explaining your life to yourself as if it were a trial. You start experiencing it directly, without the extra commentary. This is not about erasing your thoughts. It is about no longer confusing them with reality. You can have the thought that you are failing without believing you are failing. You can have the thought that the future is uncertain without living in fear of it. The more you practice this, the more you see that peace does not come from fixing the story. It comes from stepping out of it. And when you live from that place, the storms of life pass through you without leaving scars. There comes a point when you realize most of the stress in your life is not even yours. It comes from living by the expectations of others. Parents, friends, colleagues, society. They hand you scripts you never wrote, and you perform them without question. This is how you wake up one day in a life that does not feel like your own. Holistic selfishness is the antidote. It is not about ignoring the needs of others or stepping on anyone to get ahead. It is about choosing your path with full ownership. It is about asking what you truly value, not what you have been told to value. It is about designing a life that aligns with those values and having the courage to live it unapologetically. Anxiety thrives when you live in conflict with yourself. When the life you show the world does not match the life you want inside. Every yes you say to please someone else is a no to yourself. Every decision made out of fear of judgment is a small betrayal of your own soul. Holistic selfishness demands honesty. You must admit what you want, not what you think you should want, but what actually matters to you. You must accept that some people will not understand. They may even leave. That is the price of living free. The reward is peace. When your actions match your values, the inner war stops. You no longer need to explain yourself to anyone. You no longer feel the constant pull between who you are and who you pretend to be. And you begin to attract people and opportunities that fit the real you, not the mask. Most people will never take this path. They will trade authenticity for approval until their last breath. But if you are willing to endure the discomfort of being misunderstood, you will find something far more valuable than approval. You will find yourself. Every decision you make is a conversation between your head and your gut. Your head deals in logic. It calculates pros and cons. It gathers facts. It sees the world as a puzzle to be solved. Your gut deals in patterns. It draws on years of experience, on instincts shaped by both your life and your biology. It sees the world as a current to be felt. For simple problems, the head is your ally. But for the hard ones, the ones with no clear right answer, the gut is the final judge. You may analyze for days, but in the end, the decision that sticks is the one that feels right deep inside. The problem is, we have been taught to distrust this. We are told to be rational, to ignore feelings, to make choices like machines. But the gut is not emotion. It is refined judgment. It is the sum of what you have learned, seen, and survived, stored in a place beyond words. When you face a choice that matters, give your head its time. Let it gather the facts. Let it lay out the options. Then wait. Sleep on it. Step away. Listen for the answer that comes not as a thought, but as a quiet conviction. That is your gut speaking. You will not always like what it tells you. It may tell you to walk away from something you want, or to take a risk that scares you, but ignore it at your own cost. Look back at your biggest regrets, and you will see it. The moments you knew deep down but went the other way. Desire overrode judgment. and you paid the price. With age, the gut grows faster. It learns your patterns. It knows what will end well and what will not. Respect it. It will save you years of wasted time and pain. Desire is not the enemy, but unchecked desire is a trap. It can blind you to red flags, make you ignore your gut, and lead you into paths you already know will end badly. This is why people stay in relationships that drain them, jobs that kill their spirit, habits that slowly destroy their health. They want something from the situation so badly, they pretend not to see the truth. The way out is brutal honesty and a simple but powerful tool, the pre-mortem. Before you commit to a path, imagine it has already failed. Now ask why. List every reason it could go wrong. The warning signs, the risks, the compromises. This forces you to confront what your gut already knows but your desire does not want to admit. The pre-mortem does not kill hope. It clears the fantasy. It shows you the work required to make success possible. And sometimes, it shows you the truth, that the best choice is not to start at all. Anxiety loves desire, because desire keeps you hooked. You keep hoping the next moment will give you what you want, so you tolerate the pain of the present. But when you step back and see the whole picture, you often realize you are trading years of life for something that will never come. Do this enough times, and you will start to see patterns. You will learn to spot the traps before you step into them. You will stop chasing things that do not fit who you are. And with every trap avoided, you free up more of your time, your energy, your mind. Anxiety is a thief, but it is not unstoppable. It feeds on unresolved conflict, on clutter, on the stories you tell yourself about what might go wrong. It grows in the absence of presence. And presence is yours to claim at any moment. You do not have to wait for life to be perfect. You do not have to wait for every knot to be untied. You simply have to be here, fully, in the only place life can be lived, now. Clear the fog by naming the conflicts. Lighten the load by clearing your mental inventory. Keep death close enough to sharpen your priorities. Define wasted time by your level of presence. Give your mind peace by refusing to believe every thought. Live by your own terms, guided by a gut you have learned to trust, and never let desire blind you to the truth. If you do this, anxiety will lose its grip. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. You will walk through the same storms, but you will not be the same person who entered them. You will be lighter, clearer, harder to shake, and you will finally understand what it means to live fully, in peace, until your last breath.